Okay, fourth graders, here we are, lesson 10 of unit 8, and I'm on page 333 of my math book. And as you can see, we're looking at polygons. A polygon is a shape that has all straight sides. You probably remember that from third grade. Two of the types of polygons that we've already learned about here in fourth grade are triangles and quadrilaterals, and that's what we're going to be focusing on for this lesson. So you can see that all of our shapes either have 3 sides or 4 sides. So they're either triangles or quadrilaterals. Now I'm going to use some colors today to color code some of our things here. And the thing that I'm focusing on are angles, something that we talked about in small groups yesterday and the day before, and I want to make sure that we all know this. So I'm going to first of all use pink to identify all the acute angles. And I chose pink because I think pink is a cute color. And I'm finding the cute little acute angles. So notice that in different shapes, there are different angles. And we've talked about this already, but I'm noticing that some of you are still missing a couple of questions on this, which totally makes sense because it takes a while to get used to it. So if you have your math book and you have some colors, why don't you choose a color to assign all of your acute angles. Okay, you check and see. Did I get them all? I think I did. Okay, now I'm going to use blue, and I'll use blue for my right angles. These are always just a little bit easier because they're so well labeled for us. They give us the nice little square. They're all my right angles. And now one more time through, looking for my, what kind do we have left, guys? Obtuse. Obtuse. So again, noticing that shape F has 2 acute angles and 2 obtuse angles. So does shape D, quadrilateral D and F. Ooh, I missed a right angle there, but first let me finish up my obtuse angles here and here. Oh, and there. If you guys were here right now, I think you'd be yelling that out. Missed, you missed one. Oh, I see another one. This is harder without your help. Okay, I think I've got them all. Now, after that, this is probably what you're going to have to do in your math expressions assignment today. You're going to have to name which figures have a certain amount of different types of angles. So number 1, which figures have 1 or more acute angles? Well, now that I've color coded, I've made it much easier for myself. So I can see that shape E definitely has 1 or more. It has 2 acute angles. Shape B, shape C, D, F, and H. Double check me, but I think I got all that. So the rest of the questions are just asking you which figures have similar things, which figures have 1 or more right angles. So you could go up and count the ones that have 1 or more right angles. But I'd like to go on to number 4 here. Which figures have both acute and right? Okay, so I have to be really careful that I don't mess this up because, again, it's so easy to accidentally mistake acute for obtuse. We just have to double check our work on these. Acute and right. Okay, E has acute and right. G has acute and right. I think that's it. And then if you have time and you have your math book, you can answer 5. Which angles have both acute and obtuse? Oh, look, my marker showed through. Now, on this one, we're looking at sides instead of angles. So it's the same set of shapes, but we're looking at something different. So if you haven't noticed already, this unit has been all about angles and sides, and they come together in different ways, and it really depends. You have to know what they're talking about before you can think about what the labels are, what we call different shapes. So number 6, which figures have perpendicular sides? So remember, perpendicular means that 2 lines or line segments come together at a right angle. And of course, I see all kinds of perpendicular sides in a rectangle. I'm going to find some more perpendicular sides. There in that right triangle, here in G. Okay, I think I got all the perpendicular. Did you notice something about my perpendicular sides? All of them have right angles. So if I was looking at the shapes that I did earlier, it would be the same. It would be the shapes with right angles. Which figures have exactly one pair of opposite sides that are parallel? This is something that we would circle, you know, when we annotate our word problems and we find those tricky words that they might be trying to trick us with. Exactly one is definitely something that we want to circle a few times to make sure that we're aware of it. Which figures have exactly one pair of opposite sides that are parallel? Well, let's look at A for a second. Yeah, there's a pair of parallel lines here and a pair of parallel lines here, but that's two pairs. Remember, a pair is a set, like a pair of shoes. You have two shoes in one set. So here you have two lines in one set of parallel lines. Okay, I can't count A because there's two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Let's see if I can find any examples. What about D? I've got parallel here and here. Okay, that's one set, but the other two are not parallel. The other two, if they would keep going, they would meet at a certain point. Okay, I have to write that down while I'm still thinking about it. D. What about F? Again, I see parallel here and there, but nowhere else. What about G? Aha, parallel and not parallel, because if these kept going and going, they would eventually touch. Oh, I better write that one down. So I have D and G so far. What about H? H is tricky. It's very hard for me to tell. I don't think these two are parallel because if I had a nice ruler and I kept tracing them, I think eventually those two would touch. What do you think? If you have a nice ruler at home, you could try that one out. What about these guys? Again, eventually those are going to come together. So because of that, it does not have any sets of parallel lines. So I'm pretty sure D and G are my only two for this one. Which figures have two pairs of opposite sides parallel? So these are the ones that have two sets. You can do that one on your own. I think that'll be a little easier. So just two sets of parallel lines. Remember, opposite just means across from each other. Which figures have both parallel and perpendicular sides? So definitely A, right? There's parallel, two sets of parallel, and definitely perpendicular going on. It might be only A on that one. Oh wait, no, G would too. Yep, because I see parallel here and perpendicular there as well. Number 10, which figures have no parallel or perpendicular? Oh, I think I know from working on this before. H, right? H and C and B. We finally get to use the triangles. Yep, H, C, and B. No parallel and no perpendicular. Cool. All right, so as you're working through your assignment today on math expressions, be extra careful that you're reading all of the words. Geometry is really all about vocabulary. Once you know the vocabulary, you're good to go, but you have to be careful because they like to throw in a lot of different words. Have a good time.